Cole Palmer showed everyone what Chelsea have been missing, and it only took him 30 minutes. You know those moments in football when a player comes off the bench and within 5 minutes you are sitting up straighter, leaning forward, and thinking to yourself, yes, that is what we have been missing. That is exactly what Cole Palmer did against Uruguay at Wembley on Friday night. One substitute appearance, 30 minutes of football, and suddenly the whole conversation around England and Chelsea shifted completely. If you have been following Chelsea this season, you already know the frustration. You have watched Palmer play on the wing, drifting in and out of games, getting isolated, not getting the ball in dangerous areas. You have watched Liam Rosenior set up the team and wondered why the best creative player at the club is not being used in the position where he is clearly at his best. And then you watched Palmer pull on an England shirt, drop into the number 10 role, and remind every single person watching what he is actually capable of doing. This blog post is going to break all of that down. We are going to talk about what Palmer did against Uruguay, what the media said about it, what his own words reveal about his time at Chelsea, and most importantly, what Liam Rosenior needs to do when this international break is over. Grab a cup of tea. This is going to be a good one. Setting the scene, England versus Uruguay. Before we get into Palmer specifically, let us set the scene a little bit. England were playing Uruguay at Wembley on Friday night in a friendly. Thomas Tuchel was in charge. It was not a great game for large parts of it. England were flat, lacking creativity in the final third, and the number 10 role felt empty in a way that is hard to fully explain until you see what it looks like when it is filled properly. Phil Foden started in that central creative role. Foden is obviously a brilliant footballer. Nobody is going to argue otherwise. But on this night, he was not quite at the races. He was not adventurous enough, not taking people on, not creating the kind of problems you need your number 10 to create. Even Tuchel admitted as much after the game, saying he had hoped Foden would be more adventurous and take more risks. Then just after the hour mark, Foden came off and Palmer came on. And that is when the game changed. What did Palmer actually do in those 30 minutes? He got on the ball and drove forward. He took people on. He made things happen. He linked up with Dominic Calvert-Lewin and created England's first real clear chance of the game. Calvert-Lewin somehow missed the target from close range, which was one of those moments that will haunt you if you are an England fan. But the point is that Palmer was the one who found him in that position. And then in the 81st minute, Palmer swung in a corner kick, a perfect one. Ben Wright got on the end of it at the far post after a lucky rebound and poked it home. England were level. That corner was a huge moment. But honestly, it was not even about the corner. It was about the way Palmer played before and after it, the way he moved, the way he received the ball, the way he drove at defenders. It was direct, it was positive, and it was exactly what England had been missing all game. Here's a question worth thinking about. If Palmer had started that game instead of coming off the bench, do you think England would have had more chances? Do you think the result might have been different? What the media said, and why it matters. The national media sat up and took notice, and the ratings they gave Palmer tell their own story. The iPaper gave him 8 out of 10. 8. For a substitute appearance in a game England only drew, that is a seriously high rating, and it reflects just how much he stood out compared to what came before him. The iPaper specifically said he did much better than the Manchester City player he replaced. The Evening Standard gave him 7 out of 10 and made a point of praising his willingness to pick the ball up deep and drive at defenders. That is such a specific detail, and it matters because that is exactly what a number 10 is supposed to do. You are not just supposed to stand in the pocket and wait for the ball to arrive. You need to go and get it, turn, and create problems with your movement. The BBC gave him 6 out of 10, which was a little more conservative, but they still framed his arrival as the start of the fight for England's number 10 shirt. They also noted that he should probably have an assist to his name after Calvert-Lewin headed one of his deliveries wide. If Calvert-Lewin had been sharper, Palmer's cameo would have ended with an assist on top of the corner that led to the goal. Think about those numbers for a second. The media rarely agree on much when it comes to player ratings, but on this occasion, from 6 to 8 out of 10, there was a clear consensus. Palmer was England's best player in that game, a player who only came on after 60 minutes. Ian Wright, who was watching from the ITV studio and giving his analysis live, was very clear in what he said. He talked about how Palmer was just going at people positively, taking people on, making things happen. He said it was all they had wanted to see all day. One player just going forward with purpose and belief. When Ian Wright is raving about your performance, you are doing something right. The stats behind the performance stats do not tell the whole story of a football match. Anyone who has watched enough football knows that. But sometimes the numbers do back up what your eyes were telling you. And in this case, they absolutely do. In just 30 minutes of football, Palmer put together these numbers: 15 accurate passes, 1 big chance created, 2 key passes, 4 passes into the final third, 2 accurate crosses, 2 successful tackles, 3 recoveries, and 4 duels won. Read that list again slowly. 15 accurate passes in 30 minutes, 1 big chance created, 4 passes into the final third, 2 successful tackles, 3 recoveries. For context, a big chance created means a situation where the player in possession found a teammate in a position where they really should have scored. Palmer created one of those in half a game. That is the kind of output you want from your number 10 over 90 minutes. Palmer did it in 30. The passes into the final third are also worth thinking about. That is the bread and butter of what a creative central midfielder does. You want someone who can find teammates in dangerous areas, who can thread the ball through tight spaces, who can see the pass before anyone else. Palmer did it 4 times in 30 minutes. These are not just nice numbers. They are proof that the position he was playing in brought the best out of him. They are proof that when you give Cole Palmer the freedom of the number 10 role, he will create things. Cole Palmer and Pochettino. What he said before the game. Now let us talk about something that adds a really interesting layer to all of this. Before the game, there was a clip going around of Cole Palmer being asked which manager had coached the best out of him so far at Chelsea. His answer was Mauricio Pochettino. He said he really enjoyed playing under Pochettino, that Pochettino gave him confidence, trusted him a lot, and helped him settle in straight away when he first arrived at the club. Think about what that means for a moment. Palmer arrived at Chelsea as a young player who had not fully broken through at Manchester City. He needed someone to believe in him, to hand him responsibility, and to give him a platform to show what he could do. Pochettino was that manager, and here is the important part of what Palmer said. Pochettino trusted him, gave him confidence. There is something really important in those words. Cole Palmer is not just a talented footballer. He is a footballer who needs a certain kind of environment to truly thrive. He needs to feel trusted. He needs to feel like the manager believes in him. And when he has that, look at what happens. He scores hat tricks. He creates big chances. He drives at defenders. He wins games. The question for Chelsea fans is this: does he feel that same level of trust under Liam Rosenior right now? Because the evidence on the pitch suggests the answer might be no. The position problem at Chelsea here is the part of this conversation that has been frustrating Chelsea fans for weeks now. Cole Palmer is not being played in his best position at club level. Under Liam Rosenior this season, Palmer has been deployed on the right wing and the left wing for large stretches of the campaign. Sometimes he plays centrally, sometimes he does not. But the trend has been clear. Rosenior has not consistently given Palmer the number 10 role that clearly suits him best. The numbers make this point very clearly. In 16 games as a number 10 for Chelsea this season, Palmer has scored and assisted in 3 of those. His output and influence in that position is strong. In 8 games out wide, he has scored just 2 goals and laid on 0 assists. 0 assists in 8 games when played out wide. 2 goals and 3 assists combined in 16 games as a 10. That is not a close comparison. That is a massive difference. And it raises a really straightforward question. Why is Rosenior continuing to use him out wide when the data is this clear? John Obi Mikel has been very vocal about this topic. He has said publicly that Palmer is being played out of position at Chelsea. And Mikel is not someone who just throws opinions around for the sake of it. He played at a high level for many years. He knows what it looks like when a player is being used in the wrong role. Palmer himself has now shown, in a half-hour cameo for England, that the number 10 role is where his creativity lives. It is where he picks up the ball from deep and drives at people. It is where he links play, finds teammates in dangerous areas, and makes things happen. When you stick him on the wing, you take away that freedom. You make him more predictable. You make him easier to defend against. Ask yourself this. If you were the opposition manager preparing to face Chelsea, would you rather deal with Palmer as a wide player who drifts inside, or Palmer as a free central creative player who can pop up anywhere and drive at your midfield? The answer is obvious, and the fact that Rosenior has not found a way to consistently play Palmer in that role is one of the most confusing things happening at Chelsea right now. The Enzo Fernandez problem now, here is where it gets complicated. Because there is a reason why Rosenior faces a genuine dilemma here, and that reason is named Enzo Fernandez. During this international break, Fernandez has been playing in an advanced role for Argentina, even featuring in the number 9 position in their 2-1 win over Mauritius. He scored in that game, and Fernandez has reportedly been very happy playing in that free advanced role. He has made no secret of the fact that he enjoys having the freedom to get forward and be a creative force rather than sitting deep and doing the defensive work. The problem is that both Fernandez and Palmer want to operate in central creative spaces. If you give both of them freedom in advanced roles, you potentially leave Moises Caicedo very exposed. You potentially leave the whole defensive midfield area too empty. Chelsea could become very easy to counterattack against. So Rosenior has to make a choice. And that choice, right now, based on the evidence of this season and what we just saw Palmer do for England, should be Palmer in the 10 and Fernandez in a slightly deeper role. Not because Fernandez is a bad player, he is clearly a very good one, but because the 10 role is where Palmer creates his best football. And Chelsea need their best Cole Palmer, not a wide version of him who is operating 20 yards from where his creativity is sharpest. The ideal solution might be to find a way to give Palmer the 10 role and ask Fernandez to do some of his best work in the 8 position, with the freedom to get forward when the opportunity presents itself. That way you get creativity from Palmer centrally, energy and drive from Fernandez running from deeper, and you still have Caicedo protecting the backline. It is not a perfect solution, but it is better than what we have been watching. What do you think? Would you start Palmer as the number 10 when Chelsea return from the international break, or do you think there is a way to fit both Palmer and Fernandez into advanced roles without leaving the team exposed? The bigger picture. England and the World Cup. Let us zoom out for a moment and think about what this means for Palmer's England future. This summer, the World Cup is being held in North America. England will want to go there with their best possible squad and their best possible chance of going deep in the tournament. Tuchel knows that finding the right number 10 is a huge part of that puzzle. Right now, there are 4 players genuinely competing for that role: Jude Bellingham, Phil Foden, Morgan Rogers, and Cole Palmer. That is a good problem to have in terms of the overall quality available, but it also means that the spots are genuinely competitive and no one is guaranteed their place on the plane. Palmer has spent most of this season dealing with injuries. A recurring groin problem kept him out for a long stretch. Then a broken toe added more time on the sideline. He missed 3 international camps in a row because of those issues. When you miss that much time, you lose your rhythm, your sharpness, your momentum. It is really hard to come back from that and immediately hit the heights you know you are capable of. But the signs since February have been encouraging. He scored a brilliant hat trick against Wolves. He scored and assisted against Leeds. He has been building his way back to his best. And then came the Uruguay cameo, and it felt like a signal, a reminder. This is what Cole Palmer looks like when he is fit, confident, and played in the right position. Tuchel was very direct in his message to Palmer before the game. He told him that England have more evidence of what the team looks like without him than with him. He told Palmer that the pressure was on him to show what he could do, and Palmer responded to that challenge. England play Japan on March 31st at Wembley. Kane, Saka, and Rice are all expected to be available for that game after missing the Uruguay match. Palmer will want to build on Friday's performance and give Tuchel another reason to trust him with a starting role. Every game between now and the summer is an audition. Palmer knows that. And if his cameo against Uruguay is anything to go by, he is ready to put his hand up. What Rosenior needs to do when the international break ends. This brings us back to Chelsea, because the international break will end and the Premier League will resume, and Liam Rosenior will have some decisions to make. The clearest and most obvious one is this: play Cole Palmer as the number 10. Not on the right wing, not on the left wing, in the middle, in the role where he picks up the ball from deep and drives at people, in the role where he finds teammates in dangerous areas, in the role where he creates big chances. The data supports it, the eyeball test supports it, Ian Wright supports it, John Obi Mikel supports it. Thomas Tuchel himself has said that Palmer's best position is in a central role. Palmer has 9 goals and 1 assist in the Premier League this season, despite missing a huge chunk of the campaign through injury. He has managed that in 1,426 minutes of football. That is genuinely impressive output for a player who has had to deal with the setbacks he has faced this year. Imagine what those numbers look like if he plays the full season in his best position, fit and confident, with the trust of his manager. Chelsea have one of the most creative players in English football in their squad. They have a player that Thomas Tuchel, the England manager, is already thinking about for a World Cup this summer. They have a player who, in 30 minutes against Uruguay, showed more attacking quality than most players show in 90. The job now is simple. Trust him. Play him in the 10. Let him do what he does best. If Rosenior does that, Chelsea become a genuinely more dangerous attacking team. If he continues to use Palmer out wide, Chelsea will keep missing that creative spark in the middle that every top team needs. The community question. Before we wrap up, we want to hear from you, because this blog exists for the community. It exists for the fans who watch every Chelsea game, who talk about tactics, who care deeply about how the team is set up and whether the right players are in the right positions. So here are the questions for you this week. Do you think Liam Rosenior will actually change how he uses Cole Palmer after this international break? Or do you think we will see him back on the wing when Chelsea return? Who do you think England should start as the number 10 against Japan on March 31st? Palmer, Foden, or someone else? And the biggest one of all, if Chelsea play Palmer as the number 10 for the rest of this season, how many goals and assists do you think he can finish the campaign with? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let us have a proper discussion. This is the kind of thing that the Chelsea analysis community is built for. One last thing about Cole Palmer. There is something about Cole Palmer that goes beyond tactics and stats and formation debates. It is something harder to put into words, but you feel it when you watch him play. He is genuinely calm on the ball, not in a passive way, in a confident, unhurried way, like he always has time, like the game slows down around him. That kind of quality is not something you can coach into a player. Either they have it or they do not. Palmer has it. When he picks the ball up in a tight space and turns away from a press, or when he plays a through ball into a striker before the defender has even started to react, or when he floats a corner onto the head of a teammate, there is a smoothness to it that is rare. It looks easy. It is not easy. It just looks that way because he is very, very good. Chelsea are lucky to have him. England are lucky to have him. And if everyone around him gives him the right platform, the right position, and the right amount of trust, the rest of this season and the Summer World Cup could be a very exciting time for Cole Palmer fans. He reminded everyone on Friday night what he is capable of. The question is whether the people making the decisions have been paying attention. We think they have. We hope Rosenior has too. Until next time, keep the debate going and enjoy the football.